Khan, all right. Shalom. Before I start, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rocha Kodash. I'd like to say double honors to my teachers, the apostles, and the elders of Great Millstone, the men whom I've learned this truth from. And also, I would like to say shalom to the elect that's out there preaching this word in truth and sincerity. So I'm the brother Shaquar from the branch of Great Millstone, Montreal, back with another lesson. And this lesson that I'm going to be getting into, is going to be a lesson touching on, once again, the corruption of the so-called white man, right? And the West, America. You see? Because America as a whole, is a corrupt place, and that's on all aspects, that's on all levels, right? From the food you eat all the way to the to the rulers, man. It's corrupt, man. And the Lord, our Lord Yahweh Shai, is gonna come back and do away with that corruption, destroy and demolish that corruption, because that's what America was built upon, man. Like the scriptures say, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another, and America is that kingdom, that's been basically, that came into power through unrighteous dealings, through injuries and riches that were gotten by deceit, man. So because of those evils, it's going to be destroyed, to simply put. But in this lesson, something that I want to touch on is, the system that America has set up, and that's the education system, right? Kindergarten, high school, college, university, right? And the corruption of it, man, because, it is corrupt. You see, compared to these other countries, right? And the country that I'm going to focus on today is China, right? What we're going to be taking a look into is the difference between the education system in China and America. Well, I don't have clips of the American education system, but we can see based off the fruit that the American education system produced that it's not working, right? Because look at America, look at the youth, but then versus China, right? But anyways, so let me start off with showing an excerpt of this video. All right, I don't think I'm really gonna play it, but I'm for the most part gonna skim through it. I'm gonna put the link in the description below for anybody that wants to watch it. But this is a video going into a day in the life of what a Chinese high school or a high schooler, goes through, right? So I'm just going to skim through it and read the titles, right? So at 6:05 in the morning, this person is leaving home and beginning their journey to go to work, to go to school, right? 6:06, walking to the school bus. 6:48, entering school. You see there the school schedule, right? It says each day of the week has a unique schedule. So today this class doesn't have some classes like PE and chemistry. Well, they have others twice, right? So Tuesday they got English, geography, biology, physics, Chinese, history, math, history, physics, right? So that's the Tuesday schedule, right? And then 7:02 in the morning, they're cleaning the grounds, right? So the students are given jobs, right? So the school, or or schools in China most likely do not have janitors because they don't need janitors if the students are the ones that are doing the cleaning, right? Maintaining school, right? Which that's keeping them busy. Okay. Let's see what goes on. what they got next. Salakia, bear with me. Right, third period biology. Right, let's see. Morning break. Right, so uniform, they have uniform, right, to classify what grade you are in. You know, fourth period physics. They got nap time. You know, they got a time to sleep, to rest. Going on, they got lunch, another lunch break. You know, and they also have a slot for you to do your homework, right? You do your homework at school. They give you a period of time to do your homework, right? So that's pretty much the video summed up. You know, if you want to watch the full thing, I'll, you know, Lord willing, I remember to link it in the description, right? But you can see that system is a system that you need, or that's good to a young child, right? If you are trying to instill discipline in them, right? Because they're being kept busy, right? There's no liberty for them to do what they want, right? They're being programmed and accustomed to a particular schedule, right? And within that schedule, there's disciplinary task, you know, to be done, man. Like cleaning, you know, eating, exercising, right? And that's scriptural, right? To a certain extent, you know. So let's get into some precepts. This is Proverbs 22 and verse 6. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it, right? So you're supposed to train a child in the way that he's supposed to go, in a good way, right? And dealing with the scriptures, right? You know, you're supposed to train your child up in the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the Lord, you know, in the way that the Lord wants you to bring up a child, you know, and that's through what? Keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments, right? Serving the Most High. You see? And that's why it says when he is old, that's why you begin to instill things in children when they're young. Because when they get old, that's going to be their foundation, what they learned when they were young, right? So once again, making the comparison between America and China, right? These children in America, they do not have solid foundations as far as disciplinary, as far as being disciplined, man, right? But then you have children in these foreign countries, but specifically focusing on China, like I went into and showed that clip, which have that discipline in them, right? To make something of themselves, you know, to become useful, man, in society, you know, versus America, you know. So let's jump from there to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6 and verse 4. It says, hear, O Israel, the Lord Yahweh, our power is one Lord. Thou shalt love the Lord thy power with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. Right. You know, so this is going into, that's the first and most important commandment, right? To love the Lord with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. Right. Verse 6, and these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. Right. So, you know, the Chinese system and these other foreign countries system, you know, they're good, but they're not great. They're not perfect. Why? Because they're missing one thing, and that's the most important thing, is teaching them about the scriptures, right? The law, statutes, and commandments, which the scriptures are not for them anyways, man. The scriptures are for the Israelites, right? But if we had a system, you know, if we were in power, and which we're going to be in power, what the children are going to be learning is about the Lord, man. And they're going to be, well, not in the kingdom, because that's going to be within us, but these heathen, right, which they're going to be under our system. They're going to be learning about the Lord, right? They're going to be learning about our customs, and how they're supposed to conduct themselves, right? What to eat and what not to eat, what to wear and what not to wear, right? So the heathen are going to be under that system, which we are not going to have to, teach that to our children, because our children are going to be born with it already automated in them, right? That's why scriptures speak about, roughly paraphrasing, you shall not teach his neighbor anymore, so because we're going to be perfect, right? We're going to be perfect. And that's the whole point of the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shemashai, is to be perfect, right? Which the heathen are going to be trying to be perfect, but they won't be perfect because it's not meant for them to be perfect, right? That's why we have a rod of iron to correct them, So let's go from there to the book of Sirach 30. And verse 1, it says, he that loveth his son causeth him oft to feel the rod, that he may have joy of him in the end, right? So when you're dealing with a child, it's good to chastise him, right? It's good to beat him, but you got to be careful with that as well, right? You can't overdo it, but that rod and that, chastisement is to instill fear in him, right? Your fear. And a conversation I had with somebody at work, the Chinese system, their school system, and and their character, those children's character, they it's almost like they fear, people, man, like the Chinese woman, and the men. It's like almost like they're weak and they fear people, right? But that's because of the discipline that was instilled to them when they were young, man. Most of them, for the most part. Right, and why are you going to have joy of your child in the end when you chastise him? Because chastisement is a form of love, right? It's because that child is going to be respectful, and obedient to you. Verse 2, he that chastiseth his child shall have joy in him, and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance, right? So you chastising your child is going to basically kill and take away bad traits and characteristic your son has, and it's going to build good ones, respectful ones, right? Because we know what it's like for a child to be left to himself, or a child to grow up without a father, and no guidance. That child is going to become demonic for the most part, man. And America has a gazillion of those just wicked and just, evil sons, children, man. But that's because they weren't trained up the right way when they were young. Verse 3, he that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy, and before his friends shall he rejoice of him, right? Though his father die, yet he is as though he were not dead, for he had left one behind him that is like himself, right? So, your father, or being a father, you're supposed to basically make your son a mini you, show him things that that made you, and make him a better you, a better version of you, show him like, yo, I made this mistake, don't make this mistake. I did this, do this because it worked for me, it will work for you, right? That's what a father is there for, to train you up the right way, teach you about the Lord. Hey, if you got to fear Yahweh Shemashai, it's going to be, pray, so on and so forth, man. Serve the Lord, right? Verse 5, while he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him. And when he died, he was not sorrowful, right? Because that's one of the greatest joy a father can have, right? The joy in his children. And not only that, but the joy in a good child, man. You know? Verse 6, he had left him, so like he had left behind him an avenger against his enemies, and one that shall requite kindness to his friends, right? He that maketh too much of a son shall bind up his wounds, and his bowels will be troubled at every cry. What does it mean to make too much of your son? It's if you basically spoil him, right? And a lot of like these ancient world movies, they make the mistake of doing that, spoiling their child and basically just handing him the inheritance and not making him earn it, right? Which that spoils your child, man. You know, because he's gonna become what? Arrogant, proud, you know, unbridled, and so on and so forth. Verse 8, and horse not broken becometh headstrong, and the child left to himself will be willful. Right. And that's the, like, you know, going back to the America versus China. Hey, man, these children in America are left to themselves, and they've become willful, man. They do whatever they want. You know, and that's why wickedness increases, because that's not how you're supposed to live. You're not supposed to live doing what you want, you know, and acting upon every desire and lust that you feel, man. That's not how you're supposed to live. You know, you're supposed to live disciplined for the most part. You know, verse 9, conquer thy child, and he shall make thee afraid. Play with him, and he will bring thee to heaviness. Laugh not with him, lest thou have sorrow with him, and lest thou gnash thy teeth in the end, right? So you're not supposed to really be friends with your child, man. That's not that's not what you're supposed to do as a parent. As a parent, you're supposed to be feared by your child, not be his friend, right? Because that's a lack of disrespect when when a son or daughter is friends with their mother, man. They, you know, they make particular jokes, you know, they do certain things that, hey, you know, that show a lack of respect, you know. But that's only because the parent gave that opened that door up for the child. But if the parent doesn't open that door up, hey, man, that child is gonna fear the parent. Right? It's even gonna get to the point where that child's not gonna want to do particular things or in front of their parent. You know, that's what it's supposed to be like. Verse 11, give him no liberty in his youth, and wink not at his follies. Right, so don't wink at his follies. You know, don't let things slide. Right. Verse 12, bow down his neck while he is young, and beat him on the sides while he is a child, lest he wax stubborn and be disobedient unto thee, and so bring sorrow to thine heart. Chastise thy son and hold him to labor, lest his lewd behavior be an offense unto thee. Right. You know, so it's okay to chastise and beat a stubborn child, man, and instill disobedience to him. You know, it's like you instill obedience to him, right? You know, but the system of the so-called white man, they don't allow you to do these things, man. You know? Let me read verse 13 again. It says, chastise thy son and hold him to labor, lest his lewd behavior be an offense unto thee, right? And that's what, like that video I showed you, right? That Chinese school, right? Those children are being held to labor. And then that labor is basically doing away with their lewd behavior, their lewd and wild mindset, right? You know, but it's keeping that tame because they're constantly busy. They're doing something. They're not left alone. All right? Hey, man, so that's pretty much the lesson. Lord willing, this was edifying. call Allah, Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Chakadash. Once again, double honors to my teachers, the elders, apostles, and bishops of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect.